What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episodes of Real Fans FC, episode 5. We're on a little bit of a roll right now, but right now it's just me and Adam today. Tyler got caught up in school, so he wasn't able to make it to the podcast this week. But how you feeling, Adam? How you feeling?
Feeling good. We're getting out of this international break. It always is very frustrating when the March international break. I think you'd agree because it's the start of qualifying, the start of the new Nations League, and also we got all these leagues that are just getting into the time where we just don't want them to stop. So I'm glad that it's back. Not going to be as much to talk about today because of that, but MLS. That still was
Yeah.
going on, so we'll definitely be able to talk
It,
about that.
international breaks, like outside of summer, just feel so weird. Like sometimes, like I don't know. Like for
Yeah,
me at least, like it just feels like international is just such like a summer thing. So to like every year when it stops, like in what is it, September, and then in March, it just always feels so like it's such a weird like stop. But we roll on, and pretty much everything's coming back this weekend, which is great. But let's start off with our hometown league, our home country league, domestic league, MLS. And sadly, they continue to play throughout the international break like they've done so before in the past. But let's start with one game that probably was affected the most by this, and Orlando beats Philly. So kind of the question that's going around is people are, I don't want to say worried about Philly, but people are maybe like, is Philly as good as we thought they were? And Adam, what do you think? Do you think Philly is going to be that number one seed, the title contenders like everybody was predicting they were, or you think they're just going to be mid-table team, like maybe they're not as great?
I, I think it's gonna be somewhere in between. I don't think they're as good as we thought. I don't think they're as bad as they've been recently. It's been a very odd start to the season, especially on the east side for everyone. Not a whole lot of consistency. Uh, Pretty much every team has a win, if not multiple points. Uh, it's hard to say. It's just too early in the season. I think that they're the kind of team that when it gets into the real gritty parts of the year, I could see them getting more consistent results and scraping together those 3 points that they need each week to build up there. So I don't know if they'll be a number one seed, but I don't think they're going to be like mid-table.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat where, I think, and this just goes to show like how tough MLS is to predict. Because everybody is like, oh, it's going to be a rematch, LAFC versus Philly. I think Philly is still a powerhouse. I think they are, but I do think they might be a little figured out almost. I think without a shadow of a doubt, I think they're above mid-table. Do I think they're going to get first place? I don't know. I think first place is really up in the air. I don't think anybody's going to really run away with it. I
Yeah,
would say
very much so.
Cincinnati, but Cincinnati is probably going to go on a massive selling spree this summer and make a ton of money because they have a lot of players that are getting looked at internationally. So that could make room for Philly to then squeeze up to the top. But I think Philly, without a shadow of a doubt, is a top 4 team in my book. They are a home playoff team. Um, but I do kind of agree with you to an extent where it's like, yeah, I mean, they're beatable and we've seen it. They've lost to, some questionable teams. Like they lost to Miami and then they've lost to Montreal with their starting lineups too. Now we talk about this Orlando game. Um, they were out, I believe, 3 players. You had Carranza out, you had Gazdag out, which is your string puller. You had oh man, here I actually have it right here. And you had Jose Martinez out for Venezuela. So you're missing 3 players in your 2 players in your midfield and one of your strikers that consistently start, which that hurt. And Andre Blake is injured with his groin, which he's probably going to be out for a little bit longer. But I did think the backup goalie did come in and was serviceable. So I think they're going to have another shaky week this week because coming out of this international break, it's always kind of weird because a lot of teams pretty much played 2 games within the span of 10 days. So then to then come and play on Saturday is a little tougher. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I still think Philly without a doubt, it's a home playoff team. They're going to make a run. I just don't know if they're like that powerhouse that we thought they were going to be.
So before we move on, what do you think about Orlando though? I mean, they've kind of flown under the radar. We haven't been impressed with them, but now if you look at the table, if I'm correct, they haven't lost yet. They're what, two wins, 2 draws,
They have 1 loss, 2 wins, 2 draws,
one loss,
1 loss.
two. So there's the yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. I did the math wrong, but
They
yeah. So
lost to Charlotte.
yeah, which was it's not a good loss at all, but I mean they're
Yeah.
still kind of they're still, chilling in the table, with all these teams and the inconsistencies, they're still kind of in the mix. They're not going to go away. What do you think? Do you think they're going to click, or are they just going to be a mediocre team all year?
All right. So look, just so any Orlando fans that are out there, they're probably gonna like, oh, we're not gonna take their opinion in consideration because got this here and then the banner above your head. But I don't think Orlando's good. I think they have a lot of individual talent, which I think will push them into the playoff sphere. Do I think they're a top team? No. They have just not been able to click. I don't know if it's the coaching, the formations, the tactics, but they just look bad. Like every game I've seen, like, and even the games they've won have just been really just like kind of gritty matches that they kind of eked out wins, but they were not like super like dominant at all. So I don't know if things will change. I don't see them making much splashes in the summer transfer window. They might. Every MLS team does because the only reason I think that's because they made so many moves in the winter. So I don't know. They might add like a piece here or there, but they just haven't been impressive to me. And that's why. And then you also beat a Philly team who was out with 4 starters. You know what I mean? So, and very important, crucial starters. One being the best goalkeeper in the league, another who's a streaky striker, and a number 10 in Gaza, who's one of the best number 10s in the league. Um, until they can prove like on a consistent basis and you look good, like I'm not going to rate Orlando high. Orlando doesn't scare me. I don't think any team is really scared of Orlando. Until they can do it on a consistent basis and it look good and look dominant, like everybody thought they were going to be, like all those psychopaths who thought they were going to be number 1 in the league and be title contenders and then potentially make a run for the Champions League. No, that's just not going to happen. I mean, they got
Yeah,
carried by Gillespie in
I agree.
Champions League in that first bout.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. Um, but it's a good point though with the starters out, and I think that's a good segue into the whole playing through the international break. I felt like it was a waste of a week. Um, because I mean, we'll get into this. You'll look at the prediction records and everything like that. It was rough, and it wasn't even rough like normal rough. It was rough because some of these games with these starters out for both teams, it's like what what are we gonna see? It's almost like a coin toss. Like I felt like um, what we were having to watch was, and I joked about this during when we were at the Inter Miami game last weekend, um, that without all these international players and these weird makeshift lineups, that it's kind of like MLS. It's watching MLS 4 or 5 years in the past, with the talent loss and how the cohesion was. It just didn't seem right, and I thought it was a waste of a week. And there's some more reasons that I'll get into in a little bit. But what were your thoughts? I know you weren't happy.
No, I think it's Bush League. And look, this is somebody like MLS is my favorite soccer league. It's my favorite one. It's the one I follow the most intensely. It's the one I enjoy the most. Um, and I do defend it at times, but there's moments where they do just some like Bush League type shit that's just ridiculous. Like playing through the international break is beyond stupid. And I know why they did it. They did it because they had to squeeze in Leagues Cup. I know for a fact that's why. They wouldn't have done it because they don't want to extend it the season, which I don't know why not. I mean, I guess you don't want to get too deep into December and then it's getting too cold, but even so, like it's just make space, remove games out of like make it. I don't know. They can make it work. I know they could, whether it be starting the season earlier or ending it later or whatever it is. I mean, it's just 1 week, and the idea of playing through it is just so stupid. They could have even lined up the bye weeks, like lined up everybody's bye weeks. Like instead of Chicago having a week off and then Inter Miami has a week off 2 weeks from now, like why not just line up all the bye weeks on international duty? It's hella Bush League, and you're right. It does set back the league in terms of talent and at the level because who are the ones getting called up? It's the best players in the league, most likely. A lot of them, those guys are the ones that are getting called up. So you're gonna potentially affect a team's like obviously it's March and maybe like all right, but for all we know, 1 or 2 points could cost somebody a playoff spot or a home playoff spot. And that could be traced back
It
all the way
will.
to
I
playing
guarantee
this
you it will.
game.
No, and you say it might. I guarantee you it will. Look at the table at the end of the day, and it will. That's just how it is in the MLS. You will see a 2 point, 1 point between a home playoff game or even just getting into the playoffs. You will see that, and it's going to be interesting what teams are the ones that struggle. But and you're right, they're doing it because of Leagues Cup, but here if at a bare minimum, and we've talked about this before just because of how the league's growing, but you have the Leagues Cup now, you have all these other cup competitions, you have teams who really want to make runs, that are MLS teams in the CONCACAF Champions League. You need the league is not where it was years ago, and if you want to play through an international break and have the ability to do that, then at a bare minimum you need to increase the squad size and increase the salary cap with it. I'm not saying, blow it out of the water and let teams spend, PSG money, but you need to have room for more depth and more ability to pay these players because the league deserves it at this point. It's been a while, and I think that if you're gonna make the players play through that, then that's what you got to do that at a bare minimum.
Yeah, and I agree. Like it's not even just playing through international breaks, but even if you do want to add things like League Cups and then add a 3 game playoff 3 game series playoffs and soccer, which is just so stupid. You want to add all these things, but you don't want to increase roster size. You want to keep it at what is it, 23? You want to keep it at that.
Low.
You don't want to it's like I think it might be 21 almost. I have to double check. But you don't want to increase that. You don't want to. I'm not even saying raise the salary cap. Just get rid of the
Well,
restrictions.
yeah, I'm just
And
saying
that's what I'm
raise it because
saying.
if you're gonna allow a larger,
I
more modernized,
I guess
uh,
yeah.
and you want to be able to have depth because you need to be able to rotate, then the salary cap naturally needs to be just scaled with it because you can
Yeah.
have those players on the bench.
I guess what I mean when I say that is because like yeah, the salary cap is what 5-6 million, but like no every team spends more than that. So I guess like whatever that average budget is, which is maybe what 25 to 20. I think it's like either it's like 15 to like 20 million. I think most of it's like 20 million S range. So yeah, if you just put a
And that's
flat cap,
low.
get rid of all the stupid restrictions, man. Like it's so like I said, it's Bush League. It's outdated. We've
Yep,
surpassed this.
we've
Like
surpassed this
put it
in
to
quality,
I
and the
would
league
love
deserves better.
and you can do 30 million. Do 30 million. I think a lot of the low spenders like your Colorados, like your Salt Lakes, I think if they raise it to 30 million and you just put a flat cap, I think those teams will spend more because of the fact they can. I think they don't take it as seriously, but then once you're like you open it up to for like, all right, we can spend more money, then maybe the owners are going to take it more seriously because of the fact, maybe not, but that's the risk you take. That's just having a bad owner who doesn't want to spend it up. But to then punish everybody else because this team doesn't want to spend money is just ridiculous. And like I'm a big proponent of salary cap. I like salary cap. I honestly think, I mean, we're starting to see how not having a salary cap is starting to affect uh, things going on in Europe with super leagues and um, teams kind of spending out of control and getting too much. And I think having that salary cap is super big, and it's one of the advantages I think we have here in having that parity. But then at the same time, you got to let people like these are professionals now. You're bringing in sporting directors and players and
Yeah.
coaches who are coming from top leagues. Like you need to start running like one and not like some minor league bullshit. And I'm a huge fan of MLS. Like I said, I support a lot of things, but like the stuff they're doing is just it's been irritating. And then another thing too is like they don't want to they want to make sure they want to showcase all the roses. They don't want to show any of the bad. They don't talk about the bad. The only time you ever hear about the bad or the drama or the fights or whatever is from people outside of MLS. Like when you go watch like other leagues and even in other sports, their own networks will talk shit. Like it's not like it's safe. Like, and I just you never hear people and analysts from MLS ever talk badly about it. It just a lot of the manufacturer just trying to keep everything all hush. It's like, nah, man, that's what grows a sport is having the drama, having all this stuff, like keeping everything all perfect just is not going to like bring people in, man. Look at the NBA,
Yeah.
dude. The NBA literally thrives off drama because of all the shit going on and all the like. There's people that like I mean I know multiple friends who follow the NBA because of the news and the drama more than actually watching basketball. You know what I mean? Like why is MLS not talking about how the LA Galaxy supporters are literally protesting their owner and not showing up to games? Unless you're
Yeah.
really into MLS, you would not know that.
Oh, for
And
sure. For sure.
and that should be something talked about. Like that's the passion. Like that and like you know what I mean? Like and then it gets
Hmm.
people interested in the story. Why aren't they showing up? What's going on? Who's the owner? Like, you know, y- I mean, shit. Even look at what like how much shit the owners get in the Prem with the Glazers and Cronky and whoever. Like, you know what I mean? And all the Saudi,
Yeah.
the Qatar money.
Oh, yeah. Especially that.
And
It's wild.
I don't know. It's just it.
No, it is.
It's
But
just
yeah,
certain
no,
things they
we
do
they
is just so infuriating, and like international break is just one of those because it's like I don't get how you expect people to play an international break, but yet you don't want to loosen the reins on other things so teams can still compete during these international breaks when they're missing their all-star players. Like it's bush league. It's ridiculous.
yeah. And yeah, it is. And one of those teams that, you know, had dealt those consequences was our own team, Inter Miami. Another loss, this time at home, our first home loss of the season. Um, you can argue both teams without their best players. Shaqiri out for Chicago with injury, multiple Miami players on international duty. Um, but I still think that we should have won that game, or at least drew it. To lose
Yeah,
it late
we had to
on
play with
was
no
poor.
striker.
Yeah, we
Had to
played with
play
no
with no
stroke,
striker
no
because
striker at
like that
all.
is wild. Like you tell anybody who watches top 5 Euro game like to say that we had to play a game with no striker going into the game. Not like it just happened and it's like, oh, we have no more like two guys got injured and now we're having to have to move a guy on the field. Like this is like a week leading into it. We knew that we were not going to have a striker playing and there's nothing we could do about it. Like that that's so crazy.
Yeah, no, it's insane. But regardless, they did try and fight back, coming down from 2-0 down to tie it up, but they did lose late on. Very heartbreaking goal. Uh, do you think that you're excusing it because of all that's going on, or were there enough starters in there where you feel like there was just mistakes made and that we still need to improve? Because I felt like even with the injuries, even with the international break, looking at the game, I think we should have won that game, and I think that not is poor.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, we just talked about the international break and how much Hennessy, but like you said, we were both both teams are outstar players. I think from top to bottom, our roster is more talented. We are the better team. Um, I think the blame's to go everywhere. I mean, I think part of the blame is Phil not changing up his tactics to kind of fit with the personnel you have to roll with. Another part is the players not stepping up and not playing well. McVay didn't have a great game. Bryce Duke was
Yeah,
essentially non-existent. Coco Jean didn't do anything. Negri and Yedlin got caught defensively multiple times. They're pushing up way too hard, way too high. Both of them. Like we were able to get away with it last season when it was just Yedlin and you had uh McVay playing this left back at more of like a flex role. He wasn't getting too far up, so you still had that solidity in the back. But now you have
and even
two
with Gregore,
guys
and
that
even when we had Gregore, it kind of worked because he was that anchor. At
he
least
was
you had someone else
slot back.
there,
Yeah.
and now without him, we're definitely much more exposed at the back. I do like our back line. I think they are good. They're talented. They can get it
Yeah.
done, but you can't leave. Some of it definitely has to go down to the players, but some of it's also the system. I agree. The personnel that we have and the injuries and the players that are out. Um, it's definitely some of the blame has to go on Phil for that.
Yeah. I do want to talk about, I guess, coming in this game tomorrow. Like, what do you see, and what would you like to see now that there's potentially Campana might be back? Maybe not as a starter, but he might be back. Um, After losing three straight, and the whole Uowa Gregory replacement theories strategies not working. What do you see Phil do, and what would you like to see Phil do?
Well, from what I'm hearing, and the talk around the town is that at least from Campana's mouth, he wants to return this weekend tomorrow against Cincinnati. Um, if the doctors clear him and he feels like he's ready, and if I was the coach and he comes to me and he's like, I'm ready to go, I'm fit, I really want to, I'm just itching to get on that field, I would let him start. Um, if there are some question marks or he's like, yeah, I could play, but I have not too fit. I've only been doing so and so days of training. Maybe you start him from the bench. I would love him to start because we need a striker to play. It's critical, and losing him early in the season was a big blow. Um, but it's gonna be down to him and the coach and the medical staff. If he's ready, physically, I think from what we hear, mentally he wants to come back, and I think that's a good sign because we're going to need him.
So, what formation you'd like to see? I
Well,
think I think we're going to see changes. I think we are. I think
in a
Phil's gonna
perfect
like you.
world, I would like to see Campana and Martinez up together. Um, I don't know how much I didn't follow the international break in the Americas that much. So I don't know how much he's been playing, how fit he is, if he's
He
ready to
did
come right back
score.
in and play. That's good. That's good.
He
He's
did
he's
score
fine.
off
He
of a
just needs to.
volley.
He just it's partly the team. Um, I think having Campana next to him will help him score more goals. which is why I would like that.
Yeah, I think neither of them are going to play a full 90. I think Campana is going to play. Um, I think Joseph, he played 2 full 90-minute games over international break. So if he does, I think Phil's going to start him, but he might get pulled at halftime, maybe the 60th minute. I
Yeah.
don't think that he's going to play him for a full 90. And the same would go to Campana.
hmm
I honestly like what Borgelin, our homegrown, has shown. He has nothing insane, but I like the
Yeah, nothing
presence that
insane,
he
but
provides.
he shows
It's
presence and mentality to really like he definitely wants to. He's hungry for goals, even if he doesn't show that he's getting really close to scoring or he has any amazing chances. He's very hungry. He wants to get his nose in the box. Wants to get his foot on the ball. So
yeah,
and that you need players like that.
and he's tall, which is what we desperately need. Now with Campana being gone, we've just had no height up there. Joseph, even though he plays taller than he actually is, but then you saw it
hmm
leaving last game in Chicago, like Stefanelli's like fucking 5'4", some 5, which is
Oh yeah,
he's so short. And I think once Borgelin came into that game, I believe he's like 6'3", like 6'4", like just like having that presence up there and that aerial threat of like the idea that it's a guy you have to mark. He might not even score, but just being able to take a defender off of Stefanelli or whoever else to be able to kind of open it up a little bit more and he can be more of a threat is huge to me. And then as for the back, um after seeing last week, this just proves more and more to me. And I thought they should have done it even last week, but he didn't. You need to go to a back three. Like you have to.
yeah.
Like you have no other option. The problem is G Mota is not a true six. And even when you put him in that six role, he does all right. He's not bad. He's serviceable, but he's best used at the 8 role. When he's that box to box guy, he can create more. He can go up and do those insane shots that he normally does outside of the box. And honestly, they've been really close this season. So having him back there, you now lose that threat from deep that he could do. Um, you don't have to ask Bryce Duke to play in that 8 defensive role because I don't think he's more of an attacking player. He's more
Yeah,
like an
very
8-10
much
flex
so.
than an 8-6 flex. You do
Yeah, and
have
we
a
mentioned
lot of
that last week.
homegrown IMCF2 who played good in David Ruiz, but they're too young. They're not ready yet. I think
hmm
Ryan Saylor is a guy you can put in the middle of the center and can and can anchor it down because, like you were saying earlier, with Gregor gone, you lost that presence to the defense. You just have Kristoff and McVay, which are good players and good defenders, but the problem is when it's just them, it's tough. And Yedlin and Negri, they get too far up. They do for a back four. They get way too far up. And that's what costed, you could arguably say this what costed 2 goals in that game, especially the last one, the
Yeah.
ending one. Yedlin got caught too far up and he was too gassed to come back because he missed the week prior due to having his son or child. I don't know if it was a boy or girl, but he got caught. And we've seen it on Negri's side too, where they're not fast enough to get back. And even if you are the fastest guy in the world, like it's tough to get back there in time, especially if you have a younger team like Chicago who can pierce you like that. So I think it's time to go to the back 5, back 3. I would like to see a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2, something like that. So you have that steadiness in the back line. You can allow Gene Mota back into his natural right 8 position and then have Pizarro on his left 8. And then you can have Bryce Duke or Stefanelli, whoever you want, in the more advanced central attacking position than have your 2 strikers. Because if you can't, at the end of the day, you're not going to get Gregor back, at least not until the summer transfer window. If even if you do decide to replace them, your best option is to throw another defender in there. And maybe I was hearing people talk about how apparently in the IMCF2 game, they saw Sailor kind of running like a flex 5 and 6, like a central
Hmm.
center back, kind of pushing a little bit more aggressively into kind of more like a defensive midfielder, which I thought was kind of interesting. I'm curious to see how well they can execute that if possible.
Yeah, that would
Um,
be nice if he can
yeah,
slide into that even in a
I don't
makeshift
know.
fashion.
Yeah, the problem is I don't know if Sailor has the distribution and the movement to kind of play a little bit more of a midfield. But even if even if he can do a little bit more of that flex and maybe he just gets a little bit more push up in the middle, uh, it's still better than what we would throw out there in the first place. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. This is going to be a really hard game to predict. So, I
Yeah.
mean, how are you feeling about like going into this game?
Not very confident, but I think that's, a good mentality because we could be pleasantly surprised if things go well. If our players, like I said, if Campana's back and that system works out and Josef gets goals, I'll be happy. So that's what I'm looking for. You're right; it is going to be a very tough game to predict. Um, so why don't we go ahead and predict them?
Yeah, let's do it. Let me pull up the odds
So
here.
all right, while he's pulling up the odds, like I said, or like we said earlier with the international break, this was a rough week. Julian went 4-10. I went
Impossible to
five,
predict.
yeah, 5-9, and Tyler had the best record of the week, 6-8, which goes to show you how crazy of a week it was. Only
Yeah,
on
that
an international
international.
break week would Tyler get more than all of us.
Yeah.
So total
Uh,
records again with Tyler having missed a week. Julian is 26 wins, 29 losses. I have 24 wins with 31 losses. Tyler is at 15 wins, 26 losses.
my bad. I just wanted to redo this for a second. Taking me a little longer. I forgot I was in the wrong browser. Okay.
And I also have Tyler's picks ready to go. So once we make our picks, I can fill everyone in on those.
Let me zoom in a little bit here so we can see it better. All right.
Nice.
So, first game, we have the Seattle Sounders. I mean, the LA Galaxy versus the Seattle Sounders. Home team plus 110 in LA and Seattle plus 210 away, with the tie being a plus 240. I'm going to go. I like the odds for Seattle. Seattle's hot. Jordan Morris scored 4 goals last week. And you're getting Heber back, and I believe Raul Rui Diaz. I'm not sure if he's going to be back. I'd have to double check that. But even so, even if he's not, Seattle's still very strong since he's been gone. And LA has just been going down the drain. I'm kind of surprised FanDuel has them as the favorites, but I'm going to go Seattle.
Yeah, I agree with you. Seattle, like we said, multiple weeks. Seattle are back. They look strong. LA haven't looked strong at all, really. Um, so I pick Seattle, and Tyler agrees with all of us.
All right. Now let's do New England versus New York City. New England is plus 115. New York as the away team plus 210, with the draw being plus 230. I'm going to go New England here. There's another team that has a lot of really good talent that went off and did international duty. But nonetheless, I think New England at home is going to win this game. I think they're really good. I like I like the Barrero guy. I like their two fullbacks in Dwan Jones and Brandon By. And obviously their midfield is stout and probably has one of the best keepers in the league. So going New England.
Yeah, yeah. Um, if this game was not at New England, I might have been hesitant, but I do like New England at home. They have been very solid, and their keeper, yeah, like you said, I mean they're really good at developing keepers. Um, however, we have a disagreement. Tyler has a draw for this one.
Interesting. I'm not terribly surprised. I could potentially see
It
that.
definitely could be a draw. Absolutely.
All right, let's go. Orlando City versus Nashville. Now, this is a game I do not think is going to be a very entertaining one. This is going to be a nil-nil or a 1-0, one of the two. Orlando is plus 135 at home, with Nashville being plus 180 away, with the draw being a plus 210. I'm actually going to go draw here. Yeah, with the plus 220.
Yeah, I could see that. I was thinking draw. I can see Nashville squeaking it out though. I don't want to pick draw just yet on this one. I'm gonna pick Nashville, and Tyler has a draw.
All right. All right. This is the one that we're just talking about. FC Cincinnati versus Inter Miami. FC Cincinnati minus 185. Inter Miami is the away team plus 410, with the draw being plus 300. Man, I'm a natural optimist, but
Yeah,
I really don't want to lose. I really don't want to lose 4 straight. But man, if I'm a betting man, I have to go Cincinnati. I will say this though, Cincinnati, yes, they've looked good, but their attack still hasn't put it together. Brandon Vasquez still only scored 1 goal, and Brenner just scored his first goal of the season last week. So they've been kind of getting by the skin of their teeth. They haven't been super, super dominant. But this could be a game where they finally get it all clicking, because with Vasquez scoring, with Brenner scoring, Acosta's just been a monster. I think this is going to be the game they finally kind of break away and flex their muscles. And I think
Yeah.
Inter Miami. They haven't they still need some more time to I don't know, be more cohesive with each other, because so many injuries and everything.
And I don't like how they've looked away. So I do think Cincinnati are good. I don't know if they're gonna click exactly this game just yet. But against a Miami team that struggles away, I think that's a fair bet. So I'm gonna have to pick Cincinnati as well. Tyler we're hoping, but Tyler is saying screw all of that and picking Miami.
FOTMob results has a lot of people. It's almost pretty even. Interesting. All right. Let's go Philadelphia versus Kansas City. Philadelphia minus 185. Kansas City plus 430, with the draw being at plus 300. Man. So here's the tricky thing is Philly, I believe, has CONCACAF Champions League this week, or this coming week on Tuesday. And let me verify that. Yes, they do. So
that'll be very interesting to see what they do
against the Liga MX
against
team.
Poor Kansas City, though. I don't know. I'm not. It's too hard to make predictions about what their teams are gonna do, what the coach wants, what the organization wants. I still have to pick Philadelphia at home. I think they're gonna bounce back after a disappointing week last week. And before you go ahead, Tyler also agrees in the Philly win.
Yeah, I think Jim Curtin's going to put a full strength lineup. I think he's going to risk it. I think he's going to go for the game here as well as the game on.
Yeah, especially coming off a loss.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I think if they beat Orlando, I think he would take the chances and rest players this game. But since they lost to Orlando and they're already kind of sliding down the table, I think he wants to kind of bounce back. And then obviously you have to play full squad against Atlas, even though they're a poor Liga MX team. Like you gotta pull up a full lineup. So yeah, I'm going Philly.
All right. Next up, we got Columbus Crew are hosting the a really bad team, at least right now, Real Salt Lake. Surprised at those odds. I guess Columbus, yeah, they haven't been, amazing. They did just come off a pretty clinical win against Atlanta. Again, wasted week. Who knows? But I'd have to pick Columbus here. I mean, they're the stronger team. They're at home, and I do not rate Real Salt Lake at all. I think they're one of the weakest teams in the league, and not even a playoff shout.
Yeah, Columbus is a strong team. Last week proved the depth that they have. Zelarion is a monster, and this
Yeah,
is all. Chucho's
absolutely.
still injured, and I don't think
Hmm.
he's going to play this game. But even so, I'm going Columbus.
Yeah, it's still looking good for Columbus. Tyler agrees as well. So that's all
All
three of us
right.
for Columbus.
We're gonna get Toronto
Oof.
FC versus Charlotte FC with the plus 100 to Toronto, plus 230 to Charlotte as the away team, with the draw being plus 250. Give me Toronto. They're just the better team. Charlotte's fighting for the wooden spoon this year. What a embarrassment they're putting on for their fans.
I totally agree, but for some reason, the way Charlotte have been this season and the way Toronto have been this season, Charlotte being away, I don't know. This kind of has draw written all over it if the
I
script
think
writers are
Toronto's
still
on the rise.
responsible. They are, but I could totally see it being a draw, like a 1-1 or like a 2-2 where Charlotte just like sneaks in a 90th minute equalizer. So I'm going to go draw, and Tyler actually goes draw as well.
It's pretty funny on FOTMob, like how little people pick draws. It's kind of,
Yeah.
it's not
Nobody
fun
nobody
picking
wants to.
draws.
Nobody wants
Yeah.
to because there's no money involved in FOTMob, which is like, okay, but what if you think it's going to be a fucking draw, you dumbass? It's like
It's a draw.
it's like, come on, man. You don't handicap yourself.
All right. We're going to do Atlanta United versus New York Red Bulls. Atlanta United is the home team, minus 105, with New York plus 270 as the away team, with the draw being plus 230. I'm going to go Atlanta. Atlanta, with their full strength lineup, they have been hot. Obviously,
I
they got
agree.
thrashed last week, but, like we mentioned earlier, international break, things are kind of weird. They're going to be back home
Oh yeah, that
with their
that that
star
I think is
player.
one of the biggest factors is back at home.
And
You
New
know,
York's been disappointing this season.
yeah, they're not horrible, but yes, they've been a bit disappointing. Um, so I would definitely have to go Atlanta. I think this is one of the easier games to pick. It's not, it still could go either way. But Tyler also has Atlanta to win this game.
All right. We got Chicago Fire versus DC United. Chicago Fire minus 125 at home. DC United plus 300 as the away team, with the draw being plus 260. I'm actually going to go draw here. Chicago finds a way to let teams back into games. We saw it last week with Inter Miami, even though they squeaked out the win right at the last minute. We saw it the week prior with Cincinnati, with them allowing them to come back, being up 3 goals. So I'm going to go draw here as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Yeah, I think DC are not very good in Chicago. They, obviously they took the game from Miami, but I agree. They let teams they're not very solid at the back. They can switch off and just let a team score, let a team in. Um, so I don't think that any team really has the advantage here. So I would pick draw. And Tyler, feeling the pain from last week, is picking Chicago.
All right. This is a good game right here. Is
Oh
FC
yes, it
Dallas
is.
versus Portland Timbers. FC Dallas plus 175, Portland plus 420 as the away team, with the draw being plus 280. Portland is still has Evander out, their big DP signing. Obviously Chara's out. FC Dallas is pretty much fully stacked, and they haven't really lost the rhythm at all. I'm gonna go FC Dallas at home here.
Yeah, at home, I think FC Dallas are the stronger team, especially on paper. With like you said, Portland. They're not a bad team at all, but they're just not. They're lacking something with their
The
big DP
injuries.
out. Yeah, so I have to pick Dallas on this one, but we do have a disagreement of Tyler, who is picking Portland.
All right. Saint the aforementioned St. Louis City SC minus 140 at home with the Minnesota United plus 330 at home with the draw being plus 270. Man, how can you pick against St. Louis City SC? They've been
Oh,
making
especially
history.
and at
They're on the
home.
verge of making history at home. That place is going to be one of the new fortresses of MLS.
I think it already is.
João Klaus at MVP talk already, and we're like
Yeah, I
4
mean, if he
games
keeps it up,
in.
it's reasonable because
Five
if he keeps it
goals.
up,
Yeah,
exactly. If he keeps it up at this pace, then oh, of course he's going to be in the talk.
it's
Absolutely,
crazy.
he could break
I've
records at
never
this
heard of
kind
this
of
guy.
pace.
He's
But
taking the league by storm.
apparently it's a good signing. You got to give credit to St. Louis, their front office, for what they've put together here.
Yeah,
So
and
I picked St. Louis. I'm pretty sure you picked St. Louis, and Tyler, of course, picked St. Louis. I don't know when Tyler's not going to pick St. Louis. It's going to be a cold day in hell until he changes his mind on them.
and Berkey, Roman Berkey from the big sign
He's
DP's
great. He's
goal.
great. He's a great
He's
goalie.
been playing really good. That was very
A
questionable
lot
too,
of people,
doing a
a lot of
DP
people are
goal.
like, and I can understand the criticism, but I think it was smart because he is, having someone with that kind of experience can help lead your back
Dortmund,
line and
right?
coach. Yeah, coach your back line. Be that voice, in the defense to say, hey, get back, move, see to cover him. Just or that just veteran voice in the locker room. Goalies can be very smart, especially experienced goalies who've played in Europe for a long time.
I think he was the first ever signing too. He signed like a year prior to them. He signed like middle of last season last year. He signed super
Yeah, why
early.
not
Was
too?
shown
It's
getting
like,
it
hey,
early. You know what I mean?
it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, why not? It's like he doesn't. It's one of those contracts where I'm sure he could have continued doing whatever he was doing because like the team doesn't exist yet. It's not like
Yeah,
his
or
current
loan
team would
him.
be like, what
Yeah.
the fuck are you doing? It's like, it doesn't exist. What do you mean? I'm still playing for you. It's when the team gets created. But yeah, we should.
All right.
Oh boy, the toilet
Chicago. I mean,
bowl,
not Chicago.
the toilet bowl of the MLS.
Colorado versus Los Angeles FC.
This is going to be a rape.
Colorado plus 210, LAFC plus 110 as the
away favorite. See, I don't think we've seen it. Have we seen that? Have we seen that this year so far? I don't think so.
I've not seen that this year.
At least during our picks, because I feel like we would have pointed that out if we had seen that so far. Maybe like even between like
we've seen
teams,
even.
but
I know that.
We've seen it like same between two teams, but a favorite. Wow, that's saying something. I mean, come on now. You know what I think about Colorado and LAFC are on fire. They're dispatching good teams. So I don't even care that it's in Colorado. This could be.
It's not like that place is a fortress.
If Colorado aren't careful, this could be embarrassing. Tyler obviously picks LAFC as well.
Yeah, and if there's any matchup for there to be a away team favorite, it's going to be LAFC versus Colorado, or Colorado versus LAFC. So yeah, we all got LAFC. They've just been unstoppable. Like they're what we thought Philly were going to be, just on the East Coast.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and then we're going to go to the late night games. Got a Canadian classic. Vancouver Whitecaps versus CF Montreal. Vancouver's plus 110 as the home favorites, and CF Montreal is plus 210 as the road dogs, with the draw being a plus 240. I'm going to go draw here, actually. I think Vancouver has not. They've been kind of a middling team, nothing insane in the same. And then Montreal's having a down year.
Yeah,
I can see a draw here.
I could see that, but I don't know. I think Montreal have been, even though they have the win at home, I think they've been abysmal away. And I think even Vancouver will take this one. It's a close one, but I could totally see it being a draw. But I pick Vancouver. Tyler picks Montreal.
Yeah, that's
which is very interesting. That
part of me wanted to go Montreal, but this I couldn't pick a winner out of this game. I really think it's just going to be a draw. All right.
Yeah.
And then the final game of the night, we have San Jose Earthquakes versus Houston Dynamo. San Jose is minus 140 as the home favorites, and Houston Dynamo plus 320 as the road dogs, with the draw being a plus 270. I think San Jose is going to get it done here. They're a scrappy team. They're not the best team, but Houston has not looked very strong at all. And I don't think they're going to have a very good season at all, doing because they're
Yeah.
kind of rebuilding right now. I guess both teams kind of are, but I think San Jose has more talent. So I'm gonna go
Yeah,
San Jose,
I
and
can
they're at
see
home.
that. This is a tough one for me. I really could see this going either way, and because of that, I picked draw because I don't think any of these teams are very good. If you asked me to twist my arm and pick a score, I'd say 1-1. Uh,
Yeah.
and Tyler agrees. He says draw for this one.
All right. Well, that's our picks for the week. Let's see if I can bounce back. I've had 2 awful weeks after having 2 amazing weeks. I had 2 amazing weeks and not having 2 completely atrocious weeks. But I honestly feel very, very good about my picks. I knew last week was going to be sketchy
Oh, yeah, I was
because of the
worried.
international break.
I was very
But
worried, but such is life. So, as I said earlier, not too much to talk about. There's only a couple things that we really can talk about across the pond because of the international break, where the rest of the world actually knows how to stop their leagues when teams are playing
you want to do a
internationally.
little bit of the beef going
Oh,
on
I
in
didn't even
CONCACAF
notice that.
International?
Well, I guess we could. I guess that kind of works into international. So yeah, we'll kind of go international before we go across the pond.
Because I am
Um,
kind of interested in your opinions on
yeah,
this.
okay. I'll definitely have my opinion on this, but I
All
see
right.
Julian is interested in this story about Canada, U.S., Mexico, Costa
All right.
Rica, and who
I'll
are
throw
the
it up
big
for you.
dogs. So what do
I'll
you
throw it up for you, and you
what do you
dunk
need
it.
to what do you want me to tell you? What do you
All
want?
right. I'll throw. So basically, after the game, Canadian national team player Kyle Larin basically said to everybody that Canada is the big boys now in the region. And I want to, which he's basically saying that, or people are interpreting it. I interpret it. Look, if you want to call yourself the big boy, that means you're the top of the food chain. That means you're there all the time. So he's basically saying that Canada is the best team in the region. And I want to get your thoughts on what he said and where would you place Canada in this region?
So the short answer to is Kyle Larin right is no. That's the short answer. The long answer is he he's not coming from complete alien place. I'd say maybe not I'd say pre-World Cup, coming into the World Cup. You can argue if you're saying now. If he's specifying, okay, we're the big boys right now, he had an argument. But look at the talent. I mean, yes, Canada produces talent. Look at the talent coming out of the United States at this point in time. It's nothing crazy. We're no Brazil, but to say that Canada is the top dogs when we're exporting a lot of players and developing a lot of talent here, Mexico as well. I mean, Mexico didn't. Yeah, they're falling off, but they still got players who play and play for good teams all over. So and Costa Rica, I mean, they've been making runs in the World Cup. I mean, Canada can't even do that. So, I mean, I'm sorry. So you could say what you want, and I've criticized the U.S. men's national team a lot, a lot. But even they got their heads out of their asses a little bit and got out of the group, and that wasn't no easy group. You put Canada in that group, I don't think they're getting out of there. I just
They
don't.
might
And
win. They might win.
yeah, but
Here, yeah,
so
go
I
ahead.
don't think so. I don't think so. I think that's I think it's a smart thing to say. I think he should have said it before the World Cup. maybe, while they were on that
Yeah, I didn't even
on
think
that
about that.
high.
That never get. I
Um,
didn't even think about that.
I think his timing's a little off. I think he's a little late to the party here.
We're okay,
So that's
and
what
then we'll
I'm gonna
end it,
say.
and then I'll give my thoughts. So, but where do
Yeah.
you see them at now?
Um, I think you can argue right now that they're kind of equal with Mexico. I think U.S. are at the top, but I think if you looking underneath, Costa Rica internationally, they still are. They're great. Um, the same can't
No, we're
exactly be.
ass. Just say it.
No. They they've proven. They're at the world. They're normal. Well, normal. They're pretty regular appearance at the country that we see at the World Cup.
Yeah, they've made
Um,
5 out of the last 6 World Cups,
so yeah, especially recently. I mean, when it comes to
and the
international
one they
football,
didn't make it,
they're really good.
and the one they didn't make, they lost in the playoff. The going in.
They're always they're always in the whereabouts, so they're good. They can shock people, but when you're talking about like, okay, what are the top teams? Even if Costa Rica have had the most World Cup success out of all these teams, I don't think it's fair to put them above Mexico and Canada, at least right now. So I think Canada and Mexico would be, in my opinion, kind of on a level footing, neck and neck. Maybe sometimes Mexico's a little ahead, maybe sometimes Canada's a little ahead. Um, but US is on top. They don't always play like it, but they are, at least talent wise.
So I'm gonna butter up the Canadian fans real quick because, to be fair, I think Canada has done an incredible job to get to where they
Yeah,
are
I'm
at.
not taking anything
You
away
could
from them.
say Canada went from completely being entirely irrelevant to where people probably didn't even know they played soccer, and they went through. Because let's not forget, they didn't get into the octagonal by default. They had to go through the first round of qualification with all the lower level countries and then qualify for the octagonal. That's how far behind they were. And Canada, we could say, probably has the best player in the region, or they have the best player in the region on Alfonso Davies.
Oh
They
yeah, without a
probably
doubt.
they probably have the best coach in the region. I mean, United States, don't arguably you could say Anthony
That's
Hudson
been
might be
their
the
weak
coach for
spot.
the future. Yeah, they
The
and
US's
then
main weak
Mexico.
spot has been their coaching and their
Yeah.
the US Soccer Federation.
And Mexico's kind of going through this change now that Tata Martino's gone and they have this new guy. So you can say Herdman is the best coach in the region. And then don't get me started on Luis Fernandez Suarez, fucking coach. He's he's going to get fired any day now, and I can't wait. I'm going to celebrate when it happens. But so I'll give him that. And you guys finished on top of the table and looked good. You have a ton of talent. You have Jonathan David, which is one of the best strikers in league right now. Yeah, like you said, Alfonso Davies. You have a ton of MLS talent and Osorio and uh man, K Mark Anthony K. Is it Mark Anthony K? Why am I drawing a blank? Uh Larea. You have talent on that team, and it's a really good team, and it's a really solid team. There's a reason why they were on top of the qualifying. But to me, to sit here and say you're the big boys and then start putting everybody down as if you've been here this whole time, like, no, man, let's not get it twisted, bro. Like, you cannot call yourself the big boys when you haven't won anything. And like specifically last night, I saw like, and surprisingly enough, a lot of Mexican and U.S. fans were defending Costa Rica because of the fact that Canada was immediately trying to push us out and consider Canada a part of the big three of USA, Mexico, and Canada. Which I agree with you. Like you said, I think they're better than us. They just are. But at the same time, like historically, and I'm not going to go super far back, but it's like we're going through a rebuild phase right now. We had a ton of old guys that are now gone. We have a coach who was abysmal and awful and should have got fired before going into the World Cup. So we're kind of going through this crazy rebuild right now. But even through all that, we still won a fucking World Cup game. We beat Japan, who advanced. We were we had the lead against Germany. So if you want to talk about recent, we had a way better World Cup performance than you guys. maybe the
Absolutely.
groups they want to say their group was the group of death. I think it's arguable. It probably is the group of death, but our group was no joke either. We had Spain, Germany, and Japan. And the only reason we
Great,
lost
3
7-0 to
very difficult teams.
yeah, and it wasn't like the US where you had fucking Saudi Arabia, Wales, and England. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, that was a bad defeat against Spain. But you know, that shit happens. Brazil lost 7-1 to Germany in the semifinals. Like, it's just one of those games. Because you look, the next game right after we beat Japan, and then we had Germany on the ropes to the point where we were literally about to advance. If we would have just held out for like 30 more minutes, like it was that close to where Japan and Spain got knocked out, which would have been insane. So to sit here and just immediately, it's like after everything the Costa Rican Federation is going through, to the fact that we were still able to win a game and get a lead against Germany. Meanwhile, you guys didn't get a single game. Yes, Croatia made it to the semifinals. Yes, Morocco made it to the semifinals. Yes, Belgium was third going into the World Cup. But one, Belgium, since their golden generation, they've done nothing. It's been one of the biggest disappointments in football in international football in a long time.
Yeah.
They've done absolutely nothing with all the talent they have. Croatia was a Cinderella team. They're not like some stout. They're just, you know, they're a streaky World Cup team. They're a scrapper team, but they're not like super dominant at the same time. And then Morocco was the Cinderella team of the season, which no one predicted. And if you guys want to claim that you guys are the big boys and be all this great, where was your result against Morocco? Like, you guys looked good against Belgium. You could have pulled out a draw there. Maybe you lose that Croatia game. So it's like, and then on top of that, they're trashing Costa Rica, and not even just us, but like Mexico and US, about specifically Costa Rica, because we didn't make the Nations League final. But bro, you guys are saying that after you beat a Honduran team 4-1.
Yeah.
We went up against Panama, who Panama is a consistent World Cup qualifying, World Cup challenging team, who was the team that made the World Cup last year when USA got knocked out. And Panama was in third place almost that entirety of the World Cup qualifying up into the end, until that final window. And Panama beat Canada the last time they played each other in World Cup qualifying. So it's like, for you to say all this shit, it's like you guys beat Curacao and you beat Honduras, and now you make the Nations League final for the first time, and we're the best ever. It's like, no, man, look, if you guys come in here and
it's disrespectful.
It's like, look, if you come in here and you win Nations League, I will say you guys are the big boys. I have no issue, because I honestly admire what Canada does, and I hope Costa Rica can take suit and, like, you know, develop talent, send talent overseas, and become a perennial. And I think CONCACAF needs more teams like Canada to be stronger. I think the rise of Canada has made CONCACAF better for the greaterness of the region. So, but you guys aren't big boys until you win something.
Yeah.
Win a fucking World Cup game at least. Like, like, and I'm talking about recent stuff. Like, and Costa Rica beat you in World Cup qualifying with Downham. Like, so, like, you win Nations League final, you win Gold Cup, or go to a Gold Cup final. I have no issues calling you guys the big boys, because I do think in a power ranking scale, you guys are better than Costa Rica. I think they're better than Mexico. I think they go toe to toe with the United States. The United States has a coaching problem, not a talent problem. And the United States has issues outside of just like the players themselves that are kind of hindering them. So I think Canada, if you like had a blind ranking test, I think Canada is the second best team in this region without a doubt, because Mexico's on a downturn, Costa Rica's on a downturn. But you guys aren't big boys until you win something. I'm sorry. Like, you win Nations League finals, more power to you. I will call you. You guys are it's undeniable. You guys are the best team in CONCACAF because you won the title to be the best team in CONCACAF. And then if you do the same in the Gold Cup, go right ahead. I have no issues with that. But you got to win something, man. You got to win something. To be all toxic like that. I appreciate toxicity, but you can't be toxic and not win nothing.
I completely agree. Completely. So yeah, I think you've said basically everything else that there was to say.
Yeah, I was
So
just
let's
seeing that
move
the
on.
other night,
Yeah,
and I'm
no,
like,
definitely.
I
Yeah,
gotta
it's
address
worth
this.
it was
Like,
worth talking about. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's only 2 games in for some teams, and for other teams it's only a game in. So there's no point reading too much into this, but I do want to go through it quickly. The European qualifiers that we just had, we just started new groups for the Euro qualifying, Euro 2024. That will be taking place next summer. Top 2 teams move on in each group, and it is too early, but we'll go through just real quick. Talk just our favorites, at least as of now, to go through. And once we really get into like the dog days where we're starting to get close to the 10 matches played, then we'll really have a lot to talk about. So we start with Group A. Actually, pretty interesting.
shout out to Scotland.
Yeah, I still think Spain and Norway. I want to see Norway perform and get into a tournament. You got to have Odegaard and Holland in some sort of tournament, and a Euro is much easier to qualify for than a World Cup. So it's now or never for these guys. I still would have Spain and Norway, but Scotland can absolutely qualify.
I think Spain's going to make it, but I don't think Scotland makes. I mean, I don't think Norway makes it. I think Scotland's going to make it. Until Norway can prove me wrong, man, they've shown like really nothing. Like you said, I would love to see Holland and Odegaard and like actually like be in it. But like you said, there's still, I believe, 10 games? I think there's 10
Yep,
games for this qualification. So,
or
Scotland, they
8.
made it.
I don't know,
They made it last time.
or 8 games or something like that. They each play each other twice at least. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think there's some groups that have 6 teams, so that'll be different.
Okay.
But
There's
yeah,
10 match days. I think that's what it is. Yeah. I
yeah.
think that's what I saw.
But there
So
are a
yeah,
lot of groups. So
I think Spain and Scotland. I think Scotland. I feel like
yeah,
they kind of show up in the Euros. Like they always tend to like make it. They're always very competitive in this. And until Norway can
yeah,
prove something to me, Cyprus and Georgia, they're not going to make it.
yeah.
But yeah, go to Group B. We have France, Greece, Netherlands, Ireland, and Gibraltar. I think
This
this
is
is
pretty easy.
probably the most
France,
interesting
Netherlands.
one.
Netherlands are in third because they lost to France, but I still see them going through. Ireland and Greece, I don't think are strong enough. Gibraltar is just a pick easy target for everybody. They're like San Marino.
Yeah, the early 2010s, Greece was they had a really good year. That was kind of like I guess like their golden generation. I mean, they
They won
made
a
it out the
Euro.
group stage in the World Cup.
They
Yeah.
won a freaking Euro.
I remember it was that was in that 2014 run Costa Rica beat Greece, and it was at the time Greece was a really good team, so that was a huge victory. But I don't think this Greece team is the same. But yeah, I think France and
Yeah.
Netherlands, they're the easy choices. They're going to get out. Now we got Group C: England, Italy, North Macedonia, Ukraine, Malta.
England and Italy.
It's
Come
gonna,
on now.
yeah, England, Italy. Maybe Ukraine fights for it, but I think it's pretty
Yeah,
much England,
it's not
Italy.
looking likely. Yeah.
All right, now Group D: Croatia, Wales, Turkey, Armenia, Latvia. I think
I like
Turkey could
Croatia
be
and Turkey.
competitive.
I think Turkey
Really?
are gonna. Yeah, I think Turkey are good. I think Wales are.
Without
They're
Bale.
always thereabouts because they have decent league system, and a lot of their players go to England and whatnot. But Turkey, I think they have some young talent that are going to start flourishing.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Wales does now, like post Gareth Bale. He was kind of like their bright spot, their shine. That like, oh, you could never count
Yeah,
out Wales
it was
because they had
Gareth
Bale.
Bale, and they also had Aaron Ramsey always.
Yeah,
But now he's
so
getting old, so it'll be interesting.
I don't know. I can't. I'm kind of with you with the Croatia Turkey thing. But see, now we got Czechia, Poland, Moldova, Faroe Islands, and Albania.
It's a very, very,
Um,
very easy group for Poland and Czech.
yeah,
They're the class of the field. It's not even going to be close. It's going to be Poland, Czech.
no, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know where Moldova is or where Faroe Islands are. Is it Faroe Islands like up Scandinavia or something like that?
No, okay, you want to hear? I'll ask Bayard because I don't want to get it wrong.
God, now we're really gonna get it wrong.
No, I know, right? I got invited. I pay for Google One.
That one's terrible, or supposedly. I know where Albania is. It's somewhere by Bosnia. It's somewhere the Eastern Mediterranean. But yeah, I mean Poland.
They're an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. They're between Iceland and Norway. That's
So
what I thought.
like
I didn't want to get it
country.
wrong. But that's what I thought. I thought they were islands,
So
just
they're not
kind of like
even-
in the middle of.
I'm not gonna force you to pick this too, but I don't even know where Moldova is either. But I'm not gonna-
Moldova,
I'll look
I'm
it up
pretty
later.
sure, is a like Baltic or not Baltic. Shit. What's the word I'm
Mediterranean?
looking for? No. Yeah. Like I think near like Croatia
I
and
don't know.
them.
Yeah, the flag countries. That color reminds me of like Mediterranean. But yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, Poland and Czech.
It's like
I
it's
think
actually
Poland's
it's not
in
actually
there.
Moldova. No, it's a little bit. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's not that close. It's more like closer to like Romania and Ukraine.
All
But yeah,
right.
let's move on.
Geography lesson
lessons.
by Ad. All right, Group F. We have Austria, Belgium, Sweden, Estonia, and Azerbaijan. I can never pronounce that. Azerbaijan. Belgium, obviously. Now I think you're going to see a decent battle between
Sweden and
Austria.
Austria. Yeah, I think Austria are better on paper, but Sweden, yeah, I think they'll fight for it.
Wasn't am I crazy? No, he's still hurt though. Zlatan. I thought Zlatan was talking about. I thought I saw something briefly about him getting called up.
Why not?
I don't
probably
think
could.
But I think he's still
He could
injured.
still play if he really wanted.
Man, it's such a shame that he would have been so cool to see in a World Cup. I've always said it sucks that you never really get to see Zlatan in like major international championships.
But next we have kind of a poo-poo group.
Dude, these next one, yeah, Serbia, Hungary, Montenegro, Lithuania.
Serbia definitely.
Serbia is the best team
between Hungary and it's going to be close between Hungary and Montenegro.
I think it's going to be
Hungary. Serbia used to, make the World Cup with Montenegro. It used to be Serbia and Montenegro together, but they split.
Yeah, there's so many countries there now. Who even knows anymore? All right.
H.
Group H, Slovenia, Denmark, Kazakhstan,
clearly San Marino are going to qualify.
Yeah, wherever that is.
the greatest team ever. You don't know where San Marino is?
Why is Kazakhstan on?
I love San Marino. Now this one I will give you a geography lesson. It's a landlocked, tiny little country in the middle of Italy.
Vatican?
It's very interesting. Nope. Close though. I mean, it's kind of like that, but it's like a mountain.
It's like those what's the one between Spain and France and Andorra?
Gibraltar.
It's like
Andorra. Yeah, Andorra.
Gibraltar's on the tip.
I keep thinking Gibraltar, but yeah, that's similar.
Gibraltar's on the
tip. Yeah, but Andorra.
All right, Slovenia and Denmark probably. Yeah, I mean, Denmark obviously.
Finland could, but I don't know.
Yeah, our boy Robert Taylor. Let's go. Yeah. He scored actually for Finland.
Yeah, good. They need
it. Switzerland, Norway, Switzerland, Romania, Kosovo, Andorra. Speaking of that, Israel and Belarus.
Definitely Switzerland.
You're Romanian.
Definitely Romania. Yeah, and then this last group.
You know what's hilarious about this is that the amount of Ronaldo fans on Twitter talking about how he scored fucking like 2 hat tricks or something against Luxembourg, but Portugal, Slovakia,
Liechtenstein and Luxembourg is like that's 2 San Marinos. It's ridiculous. Slovakia is probably going to get through. Portugal's definitely going to get through, but Bosnia can make it interesting. So Slovakia and Bosnia are the other 2.
But man, I feel like Ronaldo fans are so delusional, man. Like as for anything this man does,
especially at this point, I think it's gotten worse since Messi won the World Cup. They started they kind of. It's like now it's denial. They're in the denial phase. They're making shit up. They're like, but look how cool he is. He's still scoring all these goals. Ronaldo he could never. Messi could never. It's like, okay, it's just denial. It's copium. It's copium.
It's honestly, it's kind of hilarious. I'm all for it. It almost seems like it's all a meme, anyways. It never actually seems serious. The whole Pesci or Pinaldo. Like, but yeah, I mean, ESPN hyping it up. Dude, ESPN loves Cristiano Ronaldo. I feel like they hype him up any chance they get. It's honestly pretty hilarious. Like he scores back-to-back hat tricks in the Saudi Arabian League. Nobody scored more goals against Luxembourg than Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm like, bro, where do you find this shit? Like, it's honestly hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. All right. I think that's enough international talk. Let's do a little bit of club talk. So we got a big matchup this weekend. Man City versus Liverpool.
Could have title ramifications. Now, obviously, I want. Yeah, does. I'm still not used to it as an Arsenal fan. You gotta forgive me. This isn't on purpose. I just don't feel like we're in a title fight still. It's numb. It's gonna be a close game. I want Liverpool to come out there and thrash City. That'd be brilliant. City have to be considered the slight favorites. They've been the better team in recent weeks. And can argue, I wouldn't. Yeah, but I'd say it was slightly City are a favorite. Liverpool can do it because they are pretty strong away. Liverpool just need to be clinical. They're not always. They do create a lot of chances, but they're not the most clinical, and that hurts them in the games that they don't end up winning, which is why you have, I feel like, a 7-0 against Manchester United, because that's a game where they just were absolutely clinical, like just the complete opposite. So it's going to be tough. They have to be careful on the attack because City love that counter. So it's going to be a very interesting game, definitely the game of the week. And it's kind of, if Liverpool win, it's going to be really a bottle job if Arsenal end up losing, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think City's gonna win. I think they're just the better team. The thing with Liverpool is like, one moment I feel like, oh man, Liverpool. Everybody's saying Liverpool's back. They thrash Man U. They're strong, and then like the next week they just like disappoint. And I think City's just too strong for them. There's just too much to handle. And with Haaland being back and back in form, who knows what's going
Yeah.
like that just makes them even more dangerous. So I think City's going to come out of this. Arsenal can't really afford to lose this week, but I think there's still an opportunity though to kind of spread it. It's kind of make that gap bigger because I could see Liverpool winning. I just don't think they will. And who does Arsenal play this week?
They
Leeds.
play
We got a layup.
Leeds.
We got Leeds. Yeah,
Fuck
so you got a layup.
Nobody likes Leeds.
But yeah, like I said, I don't know. You're so worried about Arsenal losing the lead. I think it's like in the bag.
I don't know. I am worried. I am.
I think it's in the bag.
I think we need a little bit more of a gap because I feel like we have to play at City and at Liverpool this season. And I think that we can afford some gap to lose one of those, preferably not the City one. But if we have the gap, and that'll let us lose to City.
I just think with you not having to worry about Europa League anymore and solely focus on the Prem is a big advantage. City's still got huge matchup in the Champions League to think about. Obviously that's not this week. I believe it's the week after next, if I'm correct. But yeah, I'm going Liverpool. I'm going City. I think they're going to win, but you guys got an easy game against Leeds, which is just going to keep the distance between that 8 points between the two of y'all.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. I
But
hope at least a draw, but we'll see. So
speaking of
yeah,
City's rival, not rival, but like upcoming opponent in Champions League, we
yeah.
do have Bayern Munich, and too bad Tyler couldn't be here to talk about this. This was a little bit of a shocking move for me. Um, Bayern Munich hires former Chelsea manager Tuchel to take over the reins in Bayern. What do you think? Was this a good move? Were you shocked by this? Like, what was kind of going through your mind? And now that time's settled, the everything is like calmed down. Do you like this move?
This is I it's interesting because the players seem to be, their reaction where they were shocked. And you have to wonder what they were thinking if the players have confidence in their manager for a board to just kind of drag them by the feet and say, "All right, goodbye." So it was very interesting, but it was definitely a bit of a surprise, but it's not completely out of the ordinary because when you look at Bayern, they're a club that, their goal is to win everything. And, they're currently second in the Bundesliga, even though it's just a point. Um, they are still in the Champions League, so it's tough. Tuchel has won the Champions League with Chelsea and been to a final, I believe, with PSG, if I remember correctly. Um, so it's going to be interesting. I think, I think in the end it was the big winner here is Tuchel because you go getting sacked from Chelsea, and now all of a sudden you're manager of Bayern Munich, playing against City in the Champions League, second place in the league with plenty to go. If I was Tuchel, I'd be very happy with this. I mean, basically Chelsea, at this point in time, an inferior team saying goodbye, still having all this trouble, and now he's in a much better job, at least for now. Um, I don't know if it's going to change too much. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's too early to say. Obviously, he's an experienced manager. I don't think it's going to be a detriment to the team. Um, but will this change? I don't know what they really wanted to change at Bayern or what they felt like Nagelsmann wasn't doing. But that's my thoughts to it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was really shocked by it. Like, I'm really kind of like, and man, I really wish Ty was here because, like, for me, I'm like,
Yeah.
kind of like, why? Like, it's like why? Like, I guess like maybe this is your quote unquote worst performing Bundesliga season in a long time. But I mean, there was a lot of other factors that played in that, and even still, you still have like a 50-point goal differential. It's still like something absurd, and your Champions League favorites right now, at least in my book. I don't know what like the odds in Vegas and everybody's saying is,
I
but
at
like
least
to
I
me,
had them as
I
before, and
think
that was
Bayern's
before
going
all
to
this
win it
went down.
all.
That was
Yeah,
before all this
I
went
think
down. Now, does this
I think they
change
were.
anything?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I thought Bayern was going to win it all, and I still think they do. It's a really weird move to me because it's like you said, Nagelsmann wasn't he was leading a team to potentially a championship for
Yeah, I think the weirdest thing
in the
is the
Champions
timing of
League.
it. This is the kind of move I think you would expect on the off season. Like, let's say, you give them the rest of the season and you get knocked out of the Champions League and you finish second in the Bundesliga. Then it's perfectly reasonable. But it just seems like with it
Yeah,
all to play for, it's kind of like
that's so
they had
late.
decided they had decided that in their minds, at least the board and former Bayern player Khan is one of those people making those decisions. They lost faith in him. I guess they decided that he wasn't going to. One of the things that they wanted, either winning the Bundesliga or winning the Champions League, you'd have to think that they know something that we don't. because to
There
do it
has to
at
be
such a
something
weird,
deeper.
to do something at this type of time,
Right. Right
um,
before.
they know something we don't know. So that's why, like, yes, it's a surprise, but I don't want. That's why I'm not reading too much into it. And I think that it is a good hire, and I'm just gonna say, you
Hmm.
know what, is this gonna fix their problems? I don't know. I don't know what their problems are. It's too early to say. It's odd to get the players, involved. I mean, they're professionals. They're in Champions League. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. It's not like they're bringing in Joe Schmo, Ted Lasso over here, like, hey guys, let's win the Champions League. It's
Hmm.
this guy knows what he's doing. He speaks multiple languages. There's players on that team that I'm sure he's worked with before, or at least uh, has professional knowledge of. So those are
Well,
my thoughts.
yeah.
I I still have him as my favorite for the Champions League. I think, I'll tell you what, though, all those questions that we have are going to be answered in that tie, I think, against City more so than the league.
Well, my thing too, it's just like you do it so late in the season, and like I said, unless there's something deeper going on, like outside of, because like I don't follow Bayern, I don't know the ins and outs and like everything going on within the locker, if there's anything going on. I just find it very odd about this. Yes, you're probably having the most competitive season in Bundesliga, but I mean, at the same time, man, like every like I mean, shit happens. I mean, you're still most likely. My bet is that they're going to win the league anyways. I mean, and
Yeah,
then
you'd
you're
have to
also
put them
coming
as
into
favorites.
a massive, probably one of the most crucial matches for Bayern in a long time in their
Yeah,
league, in the Der Klassiker coming up this tomorrow, and pretty much
which will
whoever
be
wins that
interesting
game
as well
takes
to
first
see.
place. So you want to put
Yeah,
in a new manager and Tuchel into the biggest game of the season right now in your rival against Dortmund, that's pretty much going to lay out who's going to be in first place and probably run away with it. Because after this game, both those teams are probably going to win out, my guess. This is like the big matchup. And I think whoever
yeah.
wins
No,
this
let's not.
game
It
wins
is a
the
big
league.
matchup. Let's not forget that Tuchel was also Dortmund manager.
I
That
understand, but
helps.
I think I
He's
just
German.
think
This isn't the it's not like some Spanish team is hiring him or some like French or Italian team. This
I
is his
mean, yeah,
home.
I understand. I guess my thing is just like to just throw in a new coach in the first game be like the most important game. And I mean, like if there's anybody who can handle it, it's probably him. But I just think
Mhm.
just like adjustment periods and everything, it just seems like
Yeah, I
look, you
totally
guys
agree. The
kind of have a
timing was
good you guys
weird. It's
have a
part of
good
it.
thing going. You're being super successful in the Champions League right now. You're undefeated in the Champions League. You're bouncing back after a shaky start in the Bundesliga, and now you have this big matchup, and now you want to bring in a new manager. It just like no matter who it is. I mean, like I said, I think Chelsea should have never got rid of Tuchel. I thought that was a dumb move.
Yeah,
But at the
we
same
said it
time,
here. Yeah.
like there's no preseason, there's nothing. It's just like, boom, here you go. I think Bayern still probably get it done. I don't think it's like super worrisome. I just from my like don't fuck with anything that isn't messed up right now. And like you said, maybe there's something going on between the
Yeah.
that we're just not
We
hearing about that's
Who
causing it. But
knows?
like
Who
at
knows?
least for
But we'll
me,
see.
it's like, look, what we're doing is working. Let's not mess with it. We're real contenders. But I think even with Tuchel going, I think they're still going to be who they are at the end of the day. They have way too much talent on that team, and he is a good manager at the end of the day, and he'll figure it out.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Like I said, we're gonna have to. It's too early, so we'll have to see where
I
it
will
goes from
say
here.
though, according to just as like in the past like 2 hours, apparently Fabrizio Romano and multiple other people are saying that Nagelsmann is linked to Tottenham right now.
Well, they are another team that lost their manager, but
So they have that looks
like
like
I said,
his potential
they
landing
haven't.
spot.
I didn't want to put that in the docket to talk about because they haven't made a decision yet. So
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
really
I was just
yeah. So
briefly bringing that up. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. But any final thoughts?
Nah, man, that's pretty much it. I feel like we both did a lot of ranting today, especially me. So I apologize
Yeah,
if I sound like I was
we had some time to fill. Like we said, it was an international break. You know, it was a little bit could have been a little bit of a shorter episode, but we used our time wisely.
I felt very informative about my rants. I didn't feel like I was just blabbering
Yeah,
nonsense.
we're not. I think we are about. I think we usually are about that. And if we are blabbering nonsense, then call us idiots in the comments.
Yeah. And I'll
We'll
enjoy
figure
it.
it
I
out.
embrace it. People call me
We'll
idiots all the time, and the other, not me, but they call the. Actually, surprisingly enough, I've no my one buddy Gabe, and if you guys follow the podcast, like he always gets the most shit in the comments. People hate his takes. Like it's kind of funny. I wonder who will
That's
be that
funny.
for us. Probably, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll
But
see.
anyways, we'll end it there. Thank you everybody for listening to Real Fans FC. Going to be back next week talking more stuff. We're going to have Tyler back and whatnot. MLS, top 5 leagues in Europe. We're going to be back in full swing of the things. So I'm pretty excited. And yeah, you guys know where to follow us anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Pocket Casts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get them, we are there. And don't forget to check out our socials on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And yeah, we will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.